This is part 3 of Path of the Just, the true Kabbalah. These practices seem simple, but they are very powerful, and you'll find that they are not easy. Do not expect to master them. Expect repeated failure, in fact. One of the terrible ideas that crept into religion is if you don't do something absolutely perfectly, it doesn't count. God won't accept it. It's an unacceptable offering. Absolutely not. Every small thing that you do sincerely to improve yourself is indescribably precious in God's eyes. Be gentle with yourself. These are simple practices, but they're extremely difficult because you're constantly refining yourself. Think of the moving of your personality characteristics as shifting of tectonic plates. That's how much mass there is. When one of the tectonic plates shifts even by a millimeter, even by a fraction of a millimeter, that is a massive amount of material that has been shifted. Improving our traits is no less difficult, and a fraction of a millimeter of advance is a tremendously powerful thing that goes all the way down to the core of your being. Think of it in terms of as an angle. If you go in the direction that you want to go in by, let's say, 1 degree, at the point from which that 1 degree diverges, it's just a tiny degree. But that same 1 degree expanding out into space becomes astronomical. Do the best you can each and every minute, day by day. Expect to be working hard on these practices for years, decades to come. Decades. Get ready for an adventure that's going to take you the rest of your life to 120 at least. Think not in terms of spiritual, but of moral. I can't tell you how important this is. I hear people, they're like, they're spiritual, and they're all like, it's spiritual this and it's spiritual that, and they're all like they're floating up here in space somewhere. It's not about spirituality. It's about morality. It so happens that as a result of developing ourselves morally, we do receive supernal wisdom, which is as spiritual as it gets. But in order to get that, we have to improve ourselves morally. But we don't improve ourselves morally in order to get that. We do it because it has to be done, because we're insufferable if we don't do the work. The truly spiritual, healthy spiritual, comes as a kind of side effect of becoming more moral, which is the same thing as acting in wisdom. Becoming more moral means becoming more and more wise. Those who ask, who is it to say what is moral? Moral is relative, are far from wisdom. Wisdom is universally, eternally true. If you have to ask, well, I don't know if this is like moral, it's like, what's good for me and what's good for you and what floats your boat and gets you through the night, you're not on the right track. The things that we really need to learn are true in every generation, in every culture, in every time frame. Once you've got that stuff right, then you can deal with the ephemeral, the changing, the incidental, the things that kind of float on the surface without becoming dismayed by them. Eternal truths are always true. And that's what we need to ground ourselves in. That's wisdom. If we set our hearts to being moral, the wisdom of acting morally will come as a matter of course. What does that mean? If we want to do the right thing, we won't have to ask, gee, I don't know if this is like the relatively right thing to do or not. We will know what to do. And you'll know that you know what to do. And you'll be completely solid in that. When your heart is set in the right way, the mind follows the heart always. All the mind is a projector. Set your heart right, and your head will know what to do. A rule of thumb is, do not do to anyone what you do not want to be done to you. This is not the same as do unto others as you would have them do unto you. What I'm saying is, the Jewish teaching is, do not do to anyone what you don't want done to you. We can't presume what the next one wants done to them. You know, I happen to like pistachio ice cream. So what, I'm going to give you pistachio ice cream and you're allergic to it? No. But what I do know is that if I want ice cream, I have to offer it to you too. Because I wouldn't want a situation in which you were eating it and my tongue was hanging out of my mouth. It is presumptuous and self-centered to assume that you know what the other person wants. Therefore, what you do know is what would hurt you, don't do that. It may appear that there's a contradiction here. Wisdom will give you the knowing of what another person needs. It's very, very different than assuming what another person wants. Okay, I hope that's clear. Listen to, or better play, gentle, beautiful music. This is an age-old method of uplifting oneself from sadness to joy. We know that Shaul HaMelech, King Saul, used to ask David, before he became king, to play music for him to soothe him. Music is very, very soothing. The prophets and their students would play music in order to make themselves more receptive to Ruach HaKodesh, to the Holy Spirit. Music opens us up, not hard acid metal stuff. Beautiful music. Take walks in nature and look deeply at the trees. Look deeply at the trees. I'll say that again. Look deeply at the trees. Do it and you'll understand why. Thank them for all they give you. Know that everyone and everything is God, assuming form, in order to interact with you and lead you along your path. Everything you encounter in life is God interacting with you, urging you on, spurring you on, sometimes kicking you in the butt on. It's all God. When you pick up a piece of paper, sit in a chair, put on clothes, most certainly when you nourish yourself, when you turn on a heater or an air conditioner, playfully say to it in your heart, I know it's you. All your costumes don't fool me at all, Master of all worlds. I know it's you. Do not attempt to measure your progress, and don't do this for the sake of progress. Do it for the sake of becoming a fitter vessel for godliness. Do it because a human being who doesn't undertake the hard work of refining their attributes is a royal pain in the ass. Let's just tell it like it is. Know that when you walk this path, you were walking on a path that was cleared and kept open for you by those who walked before you. This is very important. Those who walked before you cleared the stones out of your way, made your way easier, because the generations are becoming weaker. In Hebrew, the word for generation is dor. The word for to deteriorate, to degenerate is ledarader. You can hear it. The generations are becoming weaker. So those who walked this path before you moved the stones out of the way, cleared the way, so that although you still have to forge your own path, they made it a bit easier for you, because you wouldn't have been able to do their work. And you should always be grateful to those who came before you, who cleared the way for you. Each of their steps made it easy for you to walk, and clearing it and keeping it open and making it easier to tread for those who come after you is your job. When you walk this path, think of those who will come after you. Just as the stones and the briars were cleared away by those who came before you for you, so you must clear the way for those who will come after you. Do this with compassion for them, for those who do not yet exist in physical form. All who walk this path, no matter when or where they lived or will live, support one another and lend strength to one another. Understand this. Every single soul that walks this path is supported by every soul that is walking this path, did walk this path, that will walk this path. Know this. Good is cumulative. Evil is not. Know this in your heart and commit it to your heart. Goodness is cumulative and made permanent. Evil is transitory. Good is made permanent. It's made into permanent principles. You can tap into the strength of any and all good done at any time that you need it, even if it wasn't done yet. If you need a good that is about to be done 3,000, 4,000, 30,000 years in the future, you need that. You can tap into it. It's yours. It's always there. This is the path of the just. This is the path that leads to God, not to the lights, not to the spirituality, not to arcana, not to esoterica, to God itself. This is the Kabbalah. And may the Master of all worlds bless your every step.